Hey, I hope you like baseball because this one's going to hit you out of left field today. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 5 reasons why you should start a YouTube channel. Now, I don't want to set off any alarms. I don't want people to think that I'm changing the niche of my channel and I'm going to start talking about how to technically make a YouTube channel. And there's a bunch of people that do that. In fact, a lot of them that I watch, and some of you that have been rocking with me for a while probably noticed that I got a new microphone. I'm not going to say the name of the microphone because I'm not advertising for the microphone. But I'll tell you what, when you have a voice like mine, it really makes a big difference to have the right microphone. Because if you don't have the right microphone, your voice sounds off, your voice sounds too high, too tingy, too whatever. But when you have the right microphone, it just sounds incredible. And so I finally upgraded to the microphone that I wanted, quite frankly, since I started a YouTube channel. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on. And so if there's some stuff that you recognize that you haven't seen before in the studio or that you're experiencing in a little bit of a different way, let me know what those are or what you see, and I'll let you know whether or not you're right. Because it's this whole creating a YouTube thing is, as much as I talk about it and as often as I do it, and as many people around the world, as many millions of people do it, there's a reason for that. And so I'm going to talk to you today about the 5 reasons I think you should start a channel. So, but before I get into that, I do want to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Sabado. I had the opportunity to retire almost 2 years ago at 51. I retired early. My wife retired early, and after I retired, I just started to think to myself, there's a lot of information that I have, and even though I don't feel like I have a lot of information, there's a lot of information that I have. There are a lot of things that I did that led me to being in a position to where when the opportunity to retire early came, I was able to take it. They say what's luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Well, I had prepared myself, and I'll talk about that in another video, but all of the little things that I did over time in hopes that I would have a good outcome, not necessarily retiring early, but in hopes that I would have a good outcome. And as a result of that, when the time came, I was ready. I didn't have to do a bunch of cleanup, and then I was able to get out of the workforce and really focus on living my best life. But anyhow, I retired at 51. I'm here now, just sharing with you my journey. It's hard to start from A to Z because there's so many different pieces and there's so many different things. And so what I try to do is I try to find a topic to talk to you about just based on my journey. And a lot of times those topics are driven by the comments that I receive in the comment section. So if there's something that is of interest to you or that you would like to see discussed, let me know in the comments. With the exception of this video that I'm doing today, almost every video I've done over the last couple of months has been because of somebody's comment on the channel. In fact, one of my upcoming videos, probably in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so, I'm going to talk specifically about the systems that I put in place over time that helped me get to where I am. I alluded to them a few minutes ago, but I'll go into a lot of detail with them in the future. But on that note, enough about me. Let's talk about you and the reasons that you should start a YouTube channel. Number one is it's easy. It's funny when you look around, and people in my generation know, because my generation was a generation that started with rotary phones, ended up with cell phones and computers and all of these technological advances. And so my generation was the one that had to. I know there's a lot of millennials and Gen Zers that are saying, oh, the boomers, they didn't know how to use technology, so on and so forth. Well, the fact is that it's my generation that taught the boomers how to use those computers and those microphones, because they came out when I was in high school and elementary school and middle school. And so we had to learn how to use them so other people could learn how to use them. But my point is there's a reason that things kick on the way they are. And quite frankly, it's because it makes your life easy. Starting a YouTube channel is one of the easiest things that you'll ever do. If you think about where we are now and what we do now and why we take pictures, I was just walking with my wife somewhere earlier today, and I said to her, it's funny because I don't need a camera anymore. It actually doesn't make sense for me to go out and buy a camera. Why go out and buy a camera when I have a professional grade camera on my phone? And so in fact, I have a camera now, a Canon Rebel that I'm going to be selling here that I bought probably 10 years ago. Great shape, got some lenses for it. But just don't need it, because what I have on my iPhone, which is what I'm filming on here, is just as good. And as they say in the site that I watch a lot, Think Media, you just got to press record. And folks, that's all you really have to do, because if you think about what goes into making a YouTube channel, is that really any different than what you're doing on Instagram, Facebook, or Threads, or Twitter, or any of those others already? And the answer is no. All you're doing is you're putting in a camera in front of your face, you're hitting record, you're telling a story, and you're just talking. Which brings me to the second reason you should start a YouTube channel. It's therapy. It's when you think about life and you think about everything that goes on in life, and this happens to me quite a bit, and a lot of it you're experiencing, because again, if you're listening to me, you're hearing my story raw and uncut. So I'm not giving you an incredibly edited version of my life and trying to, become Instagram famous and have you think that I'm some incredible superhero. Nah, I'm just a guy that had the opportunity to find financial independence and retire early, and I did it, and I'm sharing my story. It's that simple. But there were a lot of trials and tribulations that came along the way. And the more that I can help people understand those trials and tribulations, that's the more that I'm able to get some of what's happened with me off of my chest. And so as much as I feel like it's helping you, which is the goal of the channel, it's also helping me, because it's given me an opportunity to talk about things that I hadn't talked about in some of the cases in 20 years, 15 years, things that were deeply hurtful, things I hadn't processed, things I didn't have the capacity to try to process until I found financial independence. But the problem is once you become financially independent, then there's nobody for you to talk to. You're not going into work anymore. You don't have all of the work connections, and you don't have the same types of social interactions that you did before. Now, don't get me wrong. I've got a whole group of friends that we talk to each other, we support each other, we spend time together, we go on trips together, we do a whole bunch of really cool stuff. But there's nothing about dealing with a difficult situation that hits the same as just talking about it, getting it off your chest. I firmly believe that when you look at the social determinants of health, one of the keys has to be something around the quality of your social interactions. And so if you give yourself the opportunity to get stuff off your chest, to talk about things, and start to understand things in a different way, in a way that others might find it beneficial to understand, then, if you're able to do that, then that has to release some of your stress. And they say the number one killer of people in the world is stress. So I think it's incredibly therapeutic. I look forward to my opportunities to have conversations with you. And it's interesting. A lot of you probably don't know this, but I pay attention to the comments that you bring back and that you give me. When you give me comments on the channel, I generally will read those comments, and I respond to all of them. So I hope you at least can recognize and acknowledge that. But sometimes there's people that I've come to expect a response from, because I know, because they're just thoughtful individuals and they have thoughtful responses on topics. And so I look forward to those because I learned from those. But again, it's all therapeutic. And the beauty of it is that when you have a breakthrough, and this brings me to the third one, is that when you have a breakthrough, not only is it a breakthrough for you, but it's a breakthrough for the hundreds of thousands of other people, or millions of other people that may encounter that video. See, what a lot of people lose sight of is we're so used to Facebook, and we're so used to Instagram, and we're so used to TikTok, and we're so used to these short-term models of, let me get something funny or in front of your face so that way, you could laugh, be entertained, and we keep it moving. But YouTube isn't like that. You see, YouTube is a channel that keeps your videos forever. So when I was a kid, when I was younger, I raised, my ex-wife had a kid. And so I raised her from 2 to about 15 or whatever. But my point is I raised her, and she had a video on YouTube from when she was running for office in like middle school or high school. And that was almost 20 years ago. So that's back up there now. So it's still up there, and it's continued to be up there. And people would look at me like, whoa, I didn't know. But it's up there. So when you record some of this stuff and you have these breakthroughs on YouTube, it's not just you. It's you and hundreds of thousands of your closest friends all experiencing that breakthrough together. And sometimes those breakthroughs aren't because they're having a breakthrough in that same issue. Sometimes it's watching you have that breakthrough that's therapeutic for them. Because I think you'd be surprised at how connected we have all become. See, again, part of the benefit of being in my generation is I saw computers come in. Part of the detriment is that for a long time I didn't take them as serious as I should. And so social media, I never really took social media that serious. I always saw social media as a social activity, something fun, something to do. I never really saw it as a way for me to stay connected to you until recently. And now I'm starting to understand why people were so caught, why this social media thing has taken on such a life. It's because you truly have a way to talk to people without picking up the phone, but stay in touch with them like you saw them yesterday. It's insane. And so one of the benefits of having a YouTube channel is that you have a broad audience. You have people from all around the world and all around the country. And if you're like me and really value the impact that you have on the rest of the world, then it's the perfect outlet or platform for that, because you have that broad audience. You can get stuff out there. People can all learn. It's like the Truman Show. And you start to build community, which is number 4. And so then you have a bunch of, I always say on this channel that if I care enough about you to answer your question, it's always going to be the truth. We're all friends. And so I'm always going to answer your question truthfully. And that's because we're all part of the same community. You know, I learned a long time ago, I think I mentioned this in another video, but I learned a long time ago that who we are and who we become is less about family and more about community. Now, you're born into a family and you got a mother, father, you may have some brothers, sisters, cousins, relatives, and all that kind of stuff. But what really makes you who you are the people that you interact with on a regular basis. And the way I learned this is I went to a wedding and it was 2 guys. It was a gay wedding. 2 guys were getting married and it was in San Francisco. And so, and all of us, I think any of us would know that there's a huge LGBTQ population in San Francisco. And so, but we've never really asked ourselves why. And so when you start to think about why that is, it's because people feel safe, because a lot of people in those communities have been disowned by their families. And so they don't have anybody to go back to. They don't have a mother or father to go home to because they tell them to get out of here because they call them some name or, you know, whatever the expletive was that they call. But my point being is then if when you go home and you get shunned by your family, you get disowned by your family, is that really your family? Is that your community? Is that who you're choosing to be around? Well, no. Who you're going to go to for the continued growth, because we're all growing, whether we are choosing to grow or not, or if we're choosing to grow in the direction or not. But you go to those people that make you who you are, which is going to be your community. And so a platform like YouTube helps you build that community, because you have people now that you have the opportunity to reach, or that have the opportunity to reach you, that could really use your help. You know, think about how many times we've helped somebody and we weren't necessarily the best person to help them, but we were the best person to offer our assistance at that particular moment in time. Well, that's what happens a lot in life. But with YouTube, you can go and you can find somebody specific. So you could say, I want to find an African-American 53-year-old man with lower back pain that had knee surgery from playing basketball when he was in high school. You could probably find that. If you do, take a look. Let me know if you find that person. Then I'll send them a note myself and thank them for being that individual, because then that person would line up exactly like me. Shoot, I may even call them up because I might have to talk to them about some of my problems. So, But, if you're having girl problems, I feel bad for your son. I got 99 problems, and my wife ain't one. So, and then the last reason I think you should start a YouTube channel is because you can make money doing it. One of the things I've mentioned early on in this channel is that I don't have this channel as a way to make money. I'm not monetized. I'm not selling products. I'm not advertising products. And at some point, will I become monetized? I mean, it probably makes sense because it's just free money that gets pushed into your checking account on a regular basis for people watching your videos. And if people are getting value watching the videos and the advertisers are putting their stuff up and they want to pay me for it, fine. But am I going to come to you and tell you to buy, Dr. X's magic elixir? Probably not, because I'm just not that guy. But a lot of people are making a lot of money on YouTube. People are selling a bunch of products. People are making ad revenue. People are advertising, other parties' products. Some people would go on with their own stuff. You get people like the likes of like a Dave Ramsey or a Joe Rogan or somebody like that, or Howard Stern, who it's just their personality. They get up and they just talk about stuff and they don't care. And they come up, they talk about it. They dive into a topic. They do it in an interesting way. People like it and they get paid for it. But you know what? Joe Rogan isn't coming to you saying, hey, could you give me $1 for this, that, and the other? Howard Stern's not saying, hey, could you hook a brother up with a couple dollars? No, because they get their money from the sources of advertising and so on. And so YouTube's set up a little bit different than that, but it's a lot of the same. But and I think lastly, and again, those are the 5. But the last thing I think that is important to understand. And I know there's a lot of channels out there talking about this, so I don't want to go too deep into it. But one of the things that a lot of these channels are talking about is people over 40 really should get out and have a YouTube channel, because people are looking for authentic connection. People are looking to hear information from real people, and it's free. And so I think when you're over 40, one of the reasons you should get on YouTube is because you have that experience of all of the things that people know, and of all the experts that sit on YouTube, and with all of everything that's out there. The only person that's an expert in your life experience is you. And the only person that's going to really know what you took from a particular experience, set of experiences, or how you were going to take those, or the reasons that you took them that way this time, is going to be you. And so if you have an opportunity to help the world, we always talk about, each one teach one, or it takes a village, or whatever the cliches are. Well, now here's the opportunity for you to do something about it. They say, don't boo, vote, don't boo, say something, don't say something, do something, whatever. We all got some stuff that we talk. But my point being that if you're over 40, you have a story to tell. And quite frankly, enough people over time resonate with your story, you can get paid for it. And so some of the financial challenges that you might be having, and look, we all have them, but some of the financial challenges that we're having may make it a little bit easier. Why? Because we got an extra $5, $6, $7, $800,000 a month. I mean, the sky's the limit depending on what you put into it. For me, it's a hobby, and it's a way for me to share my information and share my story with you. But for other people, that is the business in and of itself, is let me do this so I can make money doing it. And I don't think that's not what's going to work for me, but that's what a lot of other people do. And so, and you have a story to do that. And I think it resonate with people. So on that note, that's about all I had for today. I did want to talk to you about starting a YouTube channel, because it's the one thing that I'm doing and I'm sharing with you, and it appears that a bunch of you like it, which I appreciate. So thank you for taking time out of your day, because you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. But I think that I just want to make sure that you may not be on the channels where everybody's talking about starting a YouTube channel and all that. And I'm not going to try to sell you on. I'm not going to talk to you about gear. I'm not going to tell you how to. If there's something that you do want along those lines, let me know, and I'll put some content around that, and maybe start a podcast around. That's what I've been doing. Is things that are a little bit off topic. I've been putting them into podcasts. So check out some of those podcasts. A lot of them are the same vlogs that you've come to see, but it packages them up a little bit differently, particularly with this master gardening stuff, because I want to make sure I help people understand the access and develop access to, the food gardens and how to make their own food. So, but that's it's about all I had for this afternoon. Have a good rest of your day, and if you like the channel, feel free to subscribe. And quite frankly, if there's something that you'd like to see, let me know what that is, because this channel really isn't about me. It's about making sure that I do what I can to help others live the life they want to live, and sharing my perspective in the event that a piece of my perspective may help in some way or another. So with that being said, have a good rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.